If you haven't subscribed to Open Studio's YouTube channel, where you been? I mean, I'll put us up to anybody. There's some good stuff going on. Peter just did an incredible live on Wednesday. We got new shorts coming out literally every other day, and we've got great long-form content coming too, as well as these live guided practice sessions. So make sure to like this video and subscribe. Also, again, there is a PDF. There it is. That's page 1 of 4. It's a great-looking PDF that's there in the chat. And like I said, this coffee mug is dirty because I spent all morning working on this thing. There's just so much I wanted to do with today's session, and that takes us right into today's session. Today, we're working on these rhythmic offsets. We're working on anticipating, delaying, and then finally, stay tuned to the very end of this session because there's a melodic principle that I don't know what's going on. I don't know what it is. I think I've notated it, but I'm not sure, and I'd like you to check it out because it's everywhere and nobody talks about it, but let's talk about it today. It's called the big layback, or at least that's what I'm calling it. So we're going to be talking about these rhythmic offsets. We're going to be talking about a basic chord progression here in the key of C minor. It's pretty much the chord progression of just the two of us, right? Great Grover Washington, Bill Withers smash hit. And we're going to be talking about anticipating the beat and delaying the beat and playing right on the beat, right? So when we're accompanying people, anticipations and delays are really useful tools that we can use to get a lot of diversity in our rhythm, like a lot of different kinds of rhythm, just by anticipating and delaying the beat, essentially. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that with eighth notes. We're going to talk about that with 16th notes. We're going to practice playing on the beat. We're going to practice playing delayed. We're going to practice playing anticipated. We're going to practice mixing it up. And then we're going to practice mixing eighth notes and 16th notes. And then, as I mentioned, at the very end, we'll be talking about the big layback, which is, I'm so stoked to try to teach this because it's really weird, but I think you're going to like it. Okay, so let's talk about the 3 different kinds of ways that you might play around or on a beat. So the first is on a beat. If we have a C minor chord on beat 1 here, it's going to be right on beat 1. I'm going to start our metronome, by the way, which is Peter Erskine on the Chicken. This is a common metronome we've used here. We're using it today because on this Drum Genius track, there's a 16th note hi-hat pattern. And that's going to help us keep where we are in the time. So if we look at number 1, we have the C minor that's on beat 1. We can play it on beat 1. It sounds great. 2, 3, 4. Right? That's option A. Any chord progression, just right on the beat. Whether you're writing the chord progression or you're accompanying, in certain situations, pop music or pre-written music, you have to do exactly what is prescribed. But in a lot of situations, especially if you're playing Black American music, there's a lot of leeway for you to, and you're expected to, add something to the music and accompany in a way that is interesting, syncopated, doing something surprising, all of these things. And that's where number 2 can come in. 2, 3, 4. We're going to anticipate beat 1 on the and of 4. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. And 1, and 2, and 3, 4. So this is number 2, anticipate. 3. It's still kind of representing beat 1. We're just ahead of beat 1 by an eighth note. 2, 3, 4. And conversely, 3. We can go on the other side of beat 1. 3, 4, 1. The and of 1, called the delay. You gotta have control over all 3 of these. Gotta be able to play right on the beat, anticipate in a way that feels good, and delay in the way that feels good. Let's go back to number 1 on the beat. 2, 3, 4, 1. I'm tapping my foot, by the way. I'm counting in my head. 2 and 3. I'm subdividing in my head that eighth note. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Let's go to number 2. 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4. Let's go to number 3. The delay. 3 and 4 and 1. 2, 3 and 4 and 1. 2, 3 and 4 and 1. 3 and 4 and 3 and 4 and boom. So these are our three different things that we're going to be working on. Playing on the beat, anticipating the beat, in this case by an eighth note, or delaying the beat, in this case by an eighth note. That's where we're going to start. And it's not just about this one chord. What happens is if you have a chord progression, like this chord progression, and I've got some sample voicings here. I might not always play these voicings during this session, but I wanted to give you something to play that I think sounds really good. So these voicings are where it's at. Ooh, that should be a C flat, should be a B natural, but whatever. We'll live with the C flat. I kind of dig that shape anyway, in the key of C minor. But we're going to just start here with everything on the beat. So this is how just everything right on the beat sounds, right? I just want to say right out the outset, there's no moral better or worse for any of these. These are simply just different ways that we can create different feelings. So everything on the beat doesn't make it bad or good. It's just one way you can do it. I like this actually. Especially if the drummer is doing some of those anticipations that you're hearing in the track. Sometimes it's our job to just lay it right down the middle. But this is everything on the beat. One more time. Play it with me. And get these voicings in your hands as well. One more time. Still getting the voicings. Okay, so that's everything just square right on the beat. Like I said, there's no like better or worse, or you should do this or you shouldn't do that. These all have strengths and weaknesses, and sometimes playing everything right down the middle, right in the pocket, as the guitar player is doing some stuff off the beat or anticipating or delaying, that's our role in the groove, right? And sometimes we can do some interesting stuff like some anticipations. So here's a version where we're going to anticipate most of the chords by an eighth note. Now notice that every time that I'm going to do an exercise of anticipation or delay, not every single chord is going to be anticipated or delay. I'm going to keep at least one chord on the beat to give us some kind of frame of reference. If everything is anticipated, then nothing is anticipated. If everything is delayed, then nothing is delayed. We got to have something to kind of keep our bearings. And by the way, syncopation is a mix of downbeats and upbeats, right? So being able to control this, being able to come up with interesting things, as we'll see when we get to combinations, is really the sweet spot for this. But let's practice being able to control everything anticipated, right? So let's check this version out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? On the beat. Off. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Feel how it's different compared to the drum beat. And 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, 1, and 2. If you're rushing or if you're dragging, notice that. We often tend to rush these anticipations. They tend to get ahead of the beat, a little away from us. So just, you might be noticing that. Or maybe you're someone who drags them a little bit. They're a little too slow. The reason we work with a metronome track like this is to check ourselves, right? We don't want to be robots, but we want to have control over this. These are almost all of them anticipations, everything but beat 1 of the second bar. I like this a lot. This is a nice pattern. Woo. Let's do it one more time. One more time. So those are our anticipations. Very important that we're able to control and experiment with anticipations. And this can be, maybe you have just a chord change written where it's just everything is on the beat right here. But if you want to mix it up, throwing in those anticipations can be really handy. And you have to practice this stuff. You got to be able to control this so it feels good when you do it. And again, these are all eighth note based anticipations. Let's see what it would sound like with a little bit of an eighth note delay. So we're going to delay everything except for beat 3 here of the first bar. Let's try our delay version. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice I have that one chord that's on the beat. It kind of ties everything together. That's so good, this one. Hey. Last time. All right. So that's the delay version. The delay version. Now let's start combining these two, right? We're going to mix anticipations and delays, right? And on the beats. We want to make sure that we have some things that are on the beat. That is syncopation. Some people think that syncopation is all off beats, like that's not syncopation. Syncopation is this interesting, it's a tale of rhythm that you're telling with downbeats, upbeats, anticipations, delays. Very important to mix it up. So notice on this one, the first chord is on the beat and the second chord is anticipated, right, beforehand. That C minor is delayed. The B minor 7 is anticipated. Or no, sorry, the B minor 7 is on the beat, right? It should be on beat 2. And the B flat minor 7 is anticipated. And that also E flat 13 is anticipated. So listen to this one. So this is how much interesting stuff you can find by mixing all this stuff up. 1, 2, 3, and isn't that awesome? That feels great. It really does. That beat 1 is so strong. Last time. So again, that combination of downbeats, of anticipations before the beat, of delays after the beat, it really makes a huge difference here in just the rhythmic variety, right? You get some stuff that's not so always just right on there. And you can do this with any regular chord progression. Experiment with anticipating an eighth note, delaying an eighth note, and having fun with it. You're telling a story. So that was all with eighth note anticipations. We can do the same thing, and to great effect with, especially this tempo, 16th note anticipations and delays. Let's again put on our metronome. Let's start on the beat with our C minor chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, just right on the beat, just getting it. Now I'm going to subdivide like this. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and a 4 E and a da, 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 da. I'm going to subdivide the 16th note because that's what we're doing. Let's try number 2. Da, 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 da. 2, 3, 4, da, da, da. 2, 3, 4 E and da. It's on that da. 3, 4 E and da. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and da. It's just that 16th note before 1. It's a little bit harder, but subdividing vocally can be helpful. 1, 2, 3. Try the delay. Number 3. 3, 4. 2, 3. 2, 3, 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2. We got a little pop there from Peter Erskine on the hi-hat. Every four bars. Check it out. Every 8 bars? Still on delay. Right here? Nope. Let's go back to on the beat. Number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try the anticipate. 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, try the delay. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. So good. All of these can be super handy, especially at this tempo. Let's practice again our on the beat just to get these voicings and the chord changes back in our hands. 2, 3, 4, just a couple times here. This is what it sounds like when everything is right on. Again, nothing bad or better than about this. Just is everything right on it. All right, let's look at what it would sound like to start anticipating things by that 16th note. 2, 3, duck it. There it is. Listen to that hi-hat. See if you can get this right in the pocket. I'm still vocalizing those 16th notes. Just helps me to get it locked in. with the chord tones if you want to, like this. Keeping the 16th note going. Isn't that great? Notice if you're rushing or if you're dragging, right? These upbeats, anticipations, can tend to rush. If you're rushing, just lay it back a little bit. Getting too fancy. Last time. Isn't that awesome? This is awesome. The 16th note version of this is like heaven for me. Let's try a 16th note delay. This is going to be everything on the back end of the beats here with 16th notes. We still have one chord that's on the beat at G7 with that cheeky little C flat there. Love that. Love that. Check it out. 1, 2, 3. Got these all short. It's a little easier because you can kind of just like rebound off the kick drum. You know what I mean? Or the snare. Or your foot. Like if your foot is tapping on all 4 beats. Use the bass line to be on the beat there too. Very Jamiroquai-ish. Hey. Gotta be able to control this. Gotta be able to control this. Make it sound good. Almost get in a trance with this. All right, let's get into a little bit of a combination here on our 16th notes, right? So this is going to be a combination of chords that are on the beat, that are anticipating the beat by a 16th note, and that are delaying. So we've got... You can really get some cool rhythms here. So the second bar is a delay, and then on the beat, and the anticipation with that B flat minor 7. And then another anticipation with that E flat, anticipating beat 4 by a 16th. Check this out. This is great. 2, 3, 4. That's not right. Try it again. There it is. so much better when you play it right. Harder. Yeah. Some melodic stuff off of these. It's really fun. I think I got a comment here that caught me. First measure, second beat is written differently. Yeah, I think I was playing an eighth note, which brings us to our next bit. I should have been doing a 16th note anticipation. I was doing an eighth note. How about combining eighth note and 16th note anticipations? That's what I was doing. I was alluding to what was coming up next. Yep. Sure. More coffee, please. Okay, so check this out. So we're going to mix eighth note anticipations and delays and 16th note anticipation and delays and on the beat stuff. Check this out. 2, 3, 4. Isn't that awesome? A. Nope. Last time. That's our first example. We've got one more. Check it out. 2, 3, and. There this one. That's tough. Again, you can be doing this improvised. You can be part of your arrangement. Whew, that's so tough. Ah, it's beautiful though. This is what I'm saying. It's that surprise. Play it right. Really gets you. Last time. I gotta do it again. That one killed me. That was rough. That's very cool. It's this mix though, right? This is what delights us. Like if you can improvise your rhythms like this. If you're playing, a tune, I mean, this is just the two of us, right? Grover Washington, right? Bill Withers. If you're playing this tune and like you're getting into it, and it's the saxophone solo and you're comping. Some great comping rhythms here. You can use it in a composition, in an arrangement too. It can be pre-written. And this all stems from just this on the beat. Which again, there's nothing wrong with that. But as we get deeper into a song, if it's, a chord change where you're going to want to do something interesting, having these anticipations, these delays with eighth notes, with 16th notes. You can also do this with quarter notes and it sounds good, or 32nd notes even if the tempo is super slow. You can do it with triplets. All of these delays and anticipations, these are what makes, life worth living. You know what I mean? Like it's why we wake up in the morning. Come on. There's one more concept I want to talk about before we get to that. Just a couple of reminders to download this PDF. There's a long PDF. It's got every exercise that I just muddled my way through on there, so you could take some more time with it. I'm going to spend some more time with it. That's yours for free. That's in the description. You can take that with you. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe here at Open Studio on our YouTube channel. We go live once a week. We go live. I'll be live this coming Wednesday as well. We release new short reels on YouTube and Instagram, by the way, every other day, so you can check that out. And we release long-form video content as well that you want to check out. And you go to openstudiojazz.com, by the way, if you want to find out more about live classes and membership. That is, not to brag, but the largest online jazz community in the world. So there, I said it. Okay, let's look at the last thing I want to talk about. This is something I've been trying to teach at Open Studio Pro. So Open Studio Pro, we practice 4 times a day, 6 days a week on Zoom. That's the pro level membership. You don't have to be a pro to be on Open Studio Pro, but there's hundreds of people on Open Studio Pro that are practicing every single day, like 4 times a day, on live Zoom calls like this, but we can talk and chat together as we're going, right? And I've been trying to explain this type of phrasing that jazz musicians do that is, I think, incredible. It's really hard to notate, but we're going to call it the big layback, kind of like James Brown's big payback, but it's the big layback. And I've come up with 2 phrases that I think can demonstrate this pretty easily. Let me have some more coffee before I do it. That took it out of me. That exercise. Check this out. So we're going to go back to our metronome here. Same chord progression. Here's a typical 16th note phrase. If we look at our top phrase here, we're just going to be focusing on the top one to start. Typical 16th note phrase. 3, 4. Right? Play this one with me. Play this one with me. Top phrase. Now there's something that I've noticed that I do that I don't even know that I do, and that I've heard countless other musicians do, which is probably why I do it. But it's more like the bottom one, where it feels like the whole phrase is slowing down. Right? How many times have you heard that kind of phrasing where it feels like it's this weird eighth note triplet that happens over the bar line. Just consider it kind of laying back, you know? It's like the 16th note line. It's like it slows down. 2, 3. It's like it just like comes to a stop like that. You know what I mean? Like when your car stops, when you have to like lock your wheels. It's like that. It's like it slows down. 2, 3. Right? And once you hear it, you can't unhear it. You hear so many players use this. And there was actually a study done by some German scientists about jazz musicians and their phrasing. Jazz musicians do this on beat 1 a lot. Not every time, obviously, but a lot of jazz musicians will lay back this stuttering over the bar onto beat 1 in this sort of like triplet over the bar feel. So if we just do it, just use our voices and start on like beat 4, like 1, 2, 3. And you can just kind of like slow it down. 1, 2, 3. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. It's like that, right? Let's play that bottom example. 1, 2, 3. Isn't that amazing? And I'm not playing it exactly like a triplet, because it's not. It's more human than that. It can't be really notated with that. And you can exaggerate it too. You can really slow it down so that it's off the grid completely. But it's all about that sort of delay of beat 1. Like we're not hitting that F on beat 1. It's like stretching it over this. Yeah, Wendy, this is really hard to notate. Ben says I instinctively add like 5 grace notes. Yes. It's so easy to do, Ben. It's true. So again, it's very similar to the first one. And again, that one's great too. There's not like that's wrong. Right? In fact, a lot of times you want to be right there in that groove. But that stretch over the bar line onto beat 1, I think is so interesting. And I'm going to keep exploring when I hear other people do it. Here's another version of this line. There it is. So it's like 1, 2, 3. Top line here, the straight line. Try the bottom one. Check this out. Again, we're just kind of slowing it down. It just kind of like gets slower. I don't know how to, it's like that. I'm going to do it with my voice because it's easier. da 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 da, right? Instead of da 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 da, which is fine, but that that stuttering slow. Da 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 da. It's the same phrase, but we're just doing that sort of thing that jazz musicians do, where we just lay it back on beat one. Try it again. Bottom one. Is that crazy? Like once you hear it, you can't unhear it. It's one of these things I didn't even know I was doing till someone pointed it out. Because I'm thinking about those as 16th notes, honestly. I'm thinking about, like, if I were to picture that in my mind, it would look like the top one. But they're all these triplet things. It's like a bouncing football. That's totally true, Zion Guy. Like it feels like, but you can hear that. That's the sound that we've heard all of our lives, right? All of our favorite musicians doing something. There's so many ways that you can do this. You can do this, by the way, in like straight ahead jazz with like eighth notes. You can hear musicians do this all the time as well, especially ending their phrases over the bar on beat one. So this is the big layback is what I'm calling it, because it feels like something big. It feels like something important that is kind of assumed, and some people just get from listening a lot and don't even realize they're doing it. You can hear Keith Jarrett do this. You can hear you can hear Bill Evans do this. You can hear Herbie Hancock. You can hear a ton of people do this and probably don't even think about it like this. I'm sure they don't think about it as an eighth note triplet over the bar, but that's the closest I could get to how it feels, right? Where there's like just this brief pause over the one. But it should feel like, again, you're like coming, like you're sliding down on your butt down a hill, right? You're like gung 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 gung, right? Da 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 da, right? Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Isn't that crazy? I don't know. I thought that was really interesting. Cool. Any questions while we got? Yeah, Hiromi loves that sound. There's countless people. Hit me up in the chat. Jeremy Iron says the drummer holds the groove. Totally true. I mean, this is something that you're doing over a pretty solid beat. Kind of like the phrase chord has its own way of walking in personality. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, Wendy says, truth be told, I didn't think you could write that feeling out except by dissecting it into dotted notes and sixteenths, all dissected stuff. Yeah, I think this is the closest way you can do it. It feels like, but it's not an exact science, like, and by the way, just our notation that we use, which is like Western notation developed by classical musicians hundreds of years ago, is not great at getting rhythms that are not Western classical music. Like it's as good as we can get math wise, but it's not perfect. It's especially not clear once you get into things like swing. You know what I mean? Like it's just not, if you were to notate out like a Cannonball Adderley solo exactly in Western notation, it would look a mess. It would look a mess because to get it accurately to what that notation looks like, because you can't account for swing. It just doesn't account for it. And you can't account for stuff like this, which is a human feeling. And by the way, classical musicians do the same thing. They emote in a human way because, music is meant to be heard, not read. And so while Western notation is good, it's not great at capturing everything. Yeah, Jeremy, it's the feeling that matters most. It really is. Cool. Any other questions about this or any of the offsets that we worked on at all? Don't forget, again, to grab your PDF there. Someone mentioned, let me see here. I just want to address this because I can't. Someone mentioned the PDF. We do email it to you, and it should. And it's pretty consistent. So if you're not getting it, you might check your spam folder. You might check one of your filters, but it should be coming to whatever email you put in there. The system's pretty good. Pretty good. So you might just check some various folders if you're not seeing it, because it's pretty solid, honestly. And then there was a great comment up here from Paint Marks. How do drummers even keep up with that, though? Wouldn't they naturally slow down to match the piano? Would they play with the click track in their ear? So, and again, Jeremy says the drummer holds the groove. And sometimes that's our job to hold the groove, right? So if there's a soloist, we don't always go exactly with their time. We have to provide a solid foundational bed that is on the grid for them. So we are thinking, we don't have a click track in our ear all the time. Sometimes you do, but not when you're playing like a jazz gig or anything. But you're often thinking about that grid so that they can float over it and go against it. If everybody's doing the same thing, then there's no rubbing against it, and that's not good either. So the drummer is going to keep solid, and the reason why it sounds good, like the reason why it sounds good over this metronome, right? The reason why that sounds good is because the metronome's right in the pocket. And that's playing against it, right? Just kind of like rubs it in a way that life rubs, right? Life is not ones and zeros and in very neat boxes. Life is little crooked lines all over the place, and that's a little crooked line all over the place. Chris Hevener says, what course in Open Studio do you work on this? So we do have, if you're talking about this, if you're talking about the last thing we worked on, that's brand new that I just thought of this morning. So nothing yet, but there will be something on there. And as far as the rhythmic offsets go, Peter Martin and Jeffrey Keyser have courses. The jazz piano method, Peter works on offsets a lot. And also, we do have our rhythmic course, the rhythmic anthology course you can check out, Chris. It's the one rhythm course that has lessons from me, from Peter, from Christian McBride, from Alexa Tarantino, from Melissa Aldana, from Ruben Rogers, from Bob DeBoo, like a lot of our Open Studio artists on there. Ed says, so having a framework in which the music floats. I mean, that is what it's all about, right? Is like someone is keeping things steady and someone is mostly steady with them, but then doing these human things that go against that. I mean, every melody that you've ever heard sung is doing that, right? Like every good singer is not phrasing like bam. I mean, depending on the tune. Sometimes the rhythm of the phrasing is important for it to be locked in with the beat. If you give, whatever. But oftentimes, especially with more like romantic, beautiful songs, they're floating in all of these places. I mean, if you listen to, Ella Fitzgerald or Whitney Houston, they're floating over the time a little bit more than you might even be noticing. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, the PDF usually shows up in a minute. It might take a minute, but it'll get there. It'll get to your inbox. And it's not long. Yeah, Jeremy's adding some great stuff here. It's not about your part only. It's about the parts around you and how you bend them musically to follow your vision. That's right. It's a collective thing, right? It's much like a conversation. It's like if everybody's yelling or telling a joke at the same time, that's not fun. But if you're in a group with your friends and you're all sitting around and someone tells a great joke, everybody else is like in the pocket, listening, laughing, giving them social cues that like, we're listening to you, it's happening. And then you laugh and then someone adds a tag on the end of it. Like, oh yeah, but what about this? You know what I mean? That's humanity. And that's what music is as well. It's a different way to do that. It kind of goes beyond language even. Bethany gets the PDFs immediately. I'm telling you, it's a pretty solid thing they got going. So grab that PDF. Zach says, I know Mingus would frequently play the band their parts on piano to get that feel down. Consciously eschewed written notation. A lot of people do that, Zach. A lot of people will sing, even conductors of orchestras will spend a lot of time singing a melody for something that's written on the page, so that the string section or whomever's playing it can get the feel that conductor wants to convey, the rhythmic feel. Bethany has a great question. What is this pocket, Adam? So the pocket is, you can call it the grid. You can call it the groove. The pocket is that repeating thing where you could call it the feel, right? It's the developing of the feel. It's the setting up of the expectation, right? If something is in the pocket, then it's feeling good. It's giving you this sense of where the pulse is, and there's usually like little variations within a good pocket. Like people who are good pocket players are usually not super metronomic, but there's these little personal feels that they have. But that's the solid part, is the pocket. So someone's in the pocket, they're just doing their thing. They're not adding too much. They're just laying the groove down. And then the soloist or whoever has the melody, or maybe it's someone else is doing a part of the groove that is like pushing against that pocket a little bit. And that makes a deeper pocket. Honestly, that helps with the total groove. That's part of it. But someone or something is providing the pocket. And then there's bands where there's no pocket, and there's nothing you can do about that, except for shake your head a little bit. Great question, Daryl. As a guitarist, what should my response be when the keys player starts using offsets? Should I support the groove with a focus on 2 and 4, or get out of the way? So Daryl, that's exactly what we're talking about here. Like if someone is doing some offsets, they're doing more anticipations, they're really kind of going for it. If like I'm playing with a guitarist and they start doing that, like we're doing like a thing like this, and they're like, I'll probably, if they're doing something that's consistent, I'm just going to be simple, first of all, but I'm going to try to find something. Like if they're, I might go with them on some of them. I might not go with them on anything. I might just keep it straight down the middle and provide that, just like help the drummer and the bass player, whatever, with the pocket. It's a conversation. I might try to get in a little pop somewhere in the middle of what they're doing, but it's going to be a conversation. I'm going to do something, whatever I'm doing, I'm trying to make them sound good, right? I'm trying to make the music sound better. So I'm aware of that. I'm not going to try to match them exactly. I might try to grab one of those to kind of like we lock up, and then I just lay it down real simple. You know what I mean? And I might try to find a couple of moments where I can pop out myself, because that's good for the listener when they're like noticing a guitar player pop off, and then all of a sudden it's like, there's like another groove happening somewhere on the keyboard. They're like, oh, whoa, you know what I mean? That could be cool. But in general, if someone's taken that initiative and they're doing offsets, in this case, maybe the keyboard player and you're playing guitar, I would just be like, just laying it down, and then listening and seeing what you can find that helps make them sound better. Thelonious Monk had a great quote that was talking to another musician and another pianist, and said, make the drummer sound good. And that is such great advice when you're playing in a rhythm section. Like if you're trying to make the other players that you're playing with sound good, whatever their ideas are, I'm going to make you sound good. You're going to sound good. Like the whole thing is going to sound better. So it's a conversation. Cool. Any other questions? All right, y'all. Don't forget to smash the like button and get that PDF. And we will see you here on Open Studio Pro in 59 minutes. We'll be live with Feedback Friday, where you can play for me and I can give you direct coaching. Again, that starts on Open Studio Pro on Zoom in 59 minutes. And if you're not a member of Open Studio Pro, go to openstudiojazz.com/pro to join. And cool. All right, y'all. Cheers. Oh, go to Open Studio Pro. Wait, go to openstudiojazz.com/pro to apply. Just if Peter Martin's watching, it's because we have this great application process now where you can see if it's a good fit for you. So go to apply today. All right. Thanks, y'all. Cheers.